Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by learning to develop yourself, your skills, your network, and more. I'm Brian, your host. Today on the Develop Yourself podcast, I'm here with co-founder, also former lead engineer at MongoDB, Harish. And I'm really excited to talk to you about leading engineering teams, what software developers can do to stand out in today's market, and learn a little bit more about how you became lead engineer at MongoDB, everybody's favorite database. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to dive into any of the questions you have.
I know a lot of people listening to this are going to wonder, how did you become lead engineer or a lead engineer at MongoDB? Because that is probably the most popular database choice for self-taught programmers, web developers, full stack developers. It's pretty nuts. What led you to do that? How did you go from learning to code up to lead engineer at MongoDB?
So first, as I talk through this journey, it's I never wanted to be a manager.
Okay.
Being a lead engineer was never my ambition or a planned aim.
Okay.
I am someone who likes solving problems, who just sees what is in front of me. So I did my master's in cybersecurity at Johns Hopkins, which was a very great experience. And while doing cybersecurity, I realized I am not interested in consultancies. Rather, I would still like building software. So I wanted to get a software engineering job, which led me to Bloomberg. And I joined as software engineer, even though I did my master's in security. But that's the first time where one of the security team called up and be like, hey, we need someone who is security minded to build authentication systems, encryption systems within the company. That's when I realized that being a software engineer with security is a very niche field. I think now after crypto boom and everything, people are more aware of this field where you are a software engineer building very security focused product. But I guess 10 years back, the number of people out there were very less. And that's how I joined Bloomberg. 4 years later, in Bloomberg, I implemented a bunch of security related things for data centers, increasing security in general for the terminal product and toolings around that. And 4 years later, MongoDB cloud team was formed. MongoDB database exists for 10 plus years, but Atlas is pretty new. And that's when they called me for an interview and be like, hey, we don't have a security team in Atlas yet. And cloud is expanding. People are starting to use Atlas more. And we want to form a security team. Do you want to just come and interview? Funny thing is, I straight up told them hey, I am happy at Bloomberg. I have never done LeetCode. I don't know whether I'm ready for interview. But then the company was small enough. They were like, it's fine, just come. We understand you haven't done LeetCode. We want to ask the typical LeetCode questions.
Okay, very cool.
I went at 6 hours of interview with 5-6 people, but most of them were asking similar questions around hey, now that we are in cloud, how do you improve security for each cluster that gets deployed? How would you scale that? Because Bloomberg is very different because it's on internal systems. You have more control. Whereas when it comes to cloud, you are deploying in 3 different cloud providers. There are hundreds of users that comes and use it. So the scale varies. The consumer facing part of security also comes into play. I had fun just brainstorming, discussing things. And at the end of the interview, they are like, if you join us, this is what you are going to implement. And that's what led me to MongoDB. Basically, I loved the interview. I loved that they showed me a problem that I am excited about. I had a great brainstorming session with the whole team. And
you avoided LeetCode. That's awesome.
Not do LeetCode.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think that most things are negotiable. And also if you see somebody with a skill set that you obviously need in a pretty niche field, that's interesting though, because cybersecurity has become super hot, right? I feel like that's become one of the most hot professions. A lot of people are thinking they want to enter into it. I don't know much about it at all, but my opinion is that you probably need to have a lot of foundational knowledge. And I'm just wondering, what's your opinion on that? Because I see there was a lot of boot camps and a lot of coding programs that say, we'll make you a cybersecurity professional in 6 months. And I was always super skeptical of that, more so than the full stack developer route. Because I feel like cybersecurity it requires a lot more knowledge. What do you think about that? How does somebody become a cybersecurity professional?
I don't have a playbook for it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's hands-on experience.
Makes sense.
Example, at Mongo, I have an executive coordinator who moved to cybersecurity for project management. And that led her to read more about it. And then she just moved up into more technical role from like a project coordination. So I think that's what I kind of meant. Like, just look at the opportunity in front of you. And if that just you, if you do it really well, other things will follow.
I like that. Yeah, kind of follow where your passion kind of leads, because I like coding. I thought it was going to be like a front end only web developer. That was really what I liked. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. If somebody pays me to do this, that would be amazing. And then I quickly had to switch gears and learn like C# and SQL and MongoDB and more traditional full stack. And now I'm doing like some data engineering. But it's fun. It's fun to see where things can take you. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode. Now, you know that I own an anti-boot camp with my buddy Zubin, an ex-Google software engineer. If you're interested in not just learning how to code, and you know it's going to take more than 3 months, and you're serious about making a transition into a career in software, and you want to work with people that have done it before and are currently working in senior plus levels, join me and Zubin at parsity.io/inner-circle. You can learn all about our philosophy, how we approach learning how to code and switching careers in a much different way. If you're interested in being one of the few people that works with us this year, go and apply at parsity.io/inner-circle. And now back to the episode. As a co-founder now at Flaire, do you do any hands-on technical stuff, or are you mostly like in a leadership position?
I kind of built most of the platform, and I built most of the backend of the platform, and I have an amazing front-end engineers who has done like a tremendous job with the front end. That's also because it's like, as a co-founder, you need to do everything, sales to coding. You don't have much money. Yes, we raised a pretty hefty pre-seed, but that's still not like enough to have a bigger team. And it's also very important to be hands-on at the beginning stages, because you are still ideating. You are still moving fast. Your products is still changing. I have been like coding most of the time. I go on call and then I go for sales.
What's your day like? What time do you start your day and end your day?
I start the day around like 9:30, because my standard time with my engineering team is at 10. And usually I break around 4:35 and then log back in at 7, because my engineering team is in India. So it kind of helps if I am awake at night to make a little more coordination. Night with my engineering team, I code. Till morning stand up, I code. And other times it's around sales. Sometimes it's just pitching. And things are like coming on the podcast. One of the reason is like, you need to put your face out there.
Yeah,
it's not just sitting inside and coding. So those type of work also like takes over.
That's a big one. Like I have a business as well. And just fully transparent, this podcast, we have a lot of customers and clients come from the podcast. It's really cool. And plus they know you. So it makes it easier to understand if you're going to be a good fit for that person, because then they're like, oh, I know this person already. And but it's different, because most software developers, as you know, we're not used to being on camera or writing or putting ourselves out there at all. How do you recommend they learn some of these skills that are needed to get into leadership? Because now you're a founder, you're leading a team, you're having to be also like the face and the sales. You're having to learn a lot of skills well outside of traditional software engineering. How did you learn these skills, and how would you suggest other people learn these kinds of skills?
So switching into leadership was a little more seamless for me. Like I was a security engineer at MongoDB. I was the only one. So I kind of like switched around teams based on which team has better like security related projects that order. I would work with it, which led me to have the breadth of knowledge within the company, within like cloud. So when I became the lead, you come with a technical background, and it's a very technical company. People look up to technical leaders. So this initial switch was very easy. And from that, when I became the co-founder for Flaire, my engineering team looks up to me. So it's not like I have to sell myself.
For sure.
That led to the easier part of managing like my engineering team. The harder part obviously is getting credibility with customers, putting these like face in front of like a camera. If it's just up to me, I wouldn't do that. I am someone who loves just being and like in the room and just like head down coding.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. And one of the biggest thing as founder that always happens is getting out of your comfort zone. You grow personally, you have to challenge yourself. Otherwise, you don't want to be a founder. You might want to be a founding engineer, founding product manager. So it's kind of a choice you make.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to be a founder. Not everyone needs to seek this uncomfortable situation.
I'd actually say most people should not be founders, or really most people shouldn't really even manage people, to be completely honest. I was a manager for a brief amount of time, and I was kind of shocked how different it was. I'm like, they always say it's not a promotion, it's a job change. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, oh, they were right. Like, this is a complete different job. I liked a lot of aspects of it, and I was also completely unprepared for many aspects of it as well. It's a little easier to deal with code than people, as you probably know.
Because that, like, as manager at a company like MongoDB, I need to manage. Whereas when you're a founder, people reporting to you, you don't want to manage them. You want everyone to be self-sufficient. So basically here, I'm not managing people. The founding team needs to have that. I will do things myself. I will come to you if I am stuck, if I need any questions.
Okay, that leads me to a good segue here, because I have worked at a lot of startups. I'm working at one now, in addition to running my own business too. And I've been the founding, or one of like the few engineers on the last 2 companies where I've worked, and in the past as well. It's way different. Can you tell me like what you're looking for when you're hiring engineers at an early stage startup or just a small team?
Yeah, first, cultural fit is very important because it's a small team and you are going to go through a lot of stressful days. So it's really, really important to have the cultural fit. For the second part about solving problems is like first of all, if someone is waiting to me assigning a ticket, someone comes to me and saying, what should I work?
Yeah, right.
They are not the right person for my founding team.
Yeah.
They need to pick work. They need to figure out what to do. And you come to me with like suggestions and solutions and not just problems.
It's a really good one. Yeah.
And in terms of technical challenges, I would say let's have fun, right? Sometimes I use this called BFF pattern. Sometimes we would do a hackathon and be like, if I complete the endpoint first, I will define what the contract needs to be. And the front end people is like, if you complete it first, you define what the contract would be, and I would change my code to adapt to the routing layers. So sometimes it's just like being a technical company is easy to have fun while not about solutions in a like playful way.
I like that a lot. It's important because it can be pretty high stress. Like the reality is your hours are variable. Some days I've worked like just a few hours, and some days I've worked like 12 or 14 hours. And I'm like, that's kind of how it works.
And within my engineering team, we don't have like the whole holiday policy or like when someone works hard and doesn't. It's also really important that unfortunately there is no work-life balance or like the border of the company. So we all know each other's life. When someone has something happening at home and someone needs to take care of their family, it's an unwritten rule that other people will pick up the slack and we won't bother them. And it just takes rounds, right? Like one person goes, one person comes. So it balances out at the end of the year. But it's really important. That's what I meant by cultural fit, that like people are more open. Like, I have this issue. I need to take care of my dad. I need to take care of my kid. It's fine. If you're not open about it, then it becomes harder to plan. Then you are stressed with like a lot of tasks. Whereas when you're open about it, I wouldn't assign you a task. I wouldn't ask you to do something.
Exactly. I love that style. Like, that's important, especially at smaller startups where it's like, it's important. I didn't take this seriously enough actually, but what you said is what I've seen at really good startups where people know each other. And I know that can be more difficult in a remote first environment, but like getting to know each other is like a little bit about their personal lives because you're working so closely that it is kind of important. And you want to avoid like a bus factor, where that term where if somebody got hit by a bus tomorrow, would your company still be able to keep going? God forbid. But if somebody got sick or whatever, could you still keep going, and can other people jump in? And it's important to trust each other, have that high level of trust, not just technically, but like personally. Like, hey, can I trust you're going to get this thing done? And can I trust that you're going to help me out or tell me if I'm having a terrible idea or moving the company in the wrong direction? That's really important. Which leads me to the remote thing, because doing this remote adds a layer of complexity. I'm curious, how do you manage a remote team and create like a culture of trust, and also where people feel autonomous and can do things? And how have you approached remote work?
Fortunately, a lot of things I learned from MongoDB because I was a manager during pandemic. That means there was a lot of leadership training around like how to manage a remote team.
Yep.
Some things is simple, right? I always have a launch chat where I post my own like weekend pictures or if I am going out, because that kind of brings like the human element to it rather than like, oh, you are my manager.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like the first thing and everyone follows, right? Once you see
Hmm.
the people at the top post their life, other people will post. So you get to, one of them would be like, hey, this is what my kid did this weekend. And
Hmm.
then naturally like breaks a barrier, icebreaker happens, and people get the cultural part of it. In terms of technical part of how do we collaborate, like I said at the time, just make it a little more fun. Who gets it first? Who runs fast? Who comes up with a
Hmm.
more innovative solution?
I
So
like
it's
that.
just like challenge, but make it fun.
That's yeah. The human aspect is something we don't think about enough. I feel like there's too many companies where it's just like you're remote, but there's no like real cohesion or there's no sense of like unity. I remember when I first started working remotely, I was terrible at it, and one of the things I was really bad at was communication, and I didn't understand the differences in communication between being in person and being online, which meant I got used to just coming in the office and people would see me and they'd see what I'm doing and that'd be it, right? And then online, that's really a terrible idea. You can quickly just disappear into the void. What are some mistakes that you see people making who work remote, and what is your like opinion on communication as a remote worker?
So the first thing I noticed, especially with my team, is that I have a stand up at 10 a.m. and my engineering team is especially in India. It's like 10 p.m. for them. And I
Hmm.
would see that like at 2 p.m. my time, because we talk about task, what to do next at their night time, they won't go to bed. They would be like up late working on it. And I have to literally ping them and be like, no, go to bed because your kid is going to wake you up at 6 a.m. And
Uh,
then you are not going to be productive the next day.
how much has your platform grown?
It is, we have built a lot of features and it has evolved a lot. We run around like $60 million worth of fashion business out of the platform.
Wow.
No, our revenue is not 60 million. Our
Oh
customers.
yeah, but still,
Yeah.
that's impressive. I mean, the fact people will trust you with that much money, that's impressive.
Yes. Some of them are like well-known brands. Like when I onboard some brands, I used to talk to my friends and they're like, oh, we used to buy from this brand. I'm not a fashion person. I never knew those brands. But my friends would be like, yeah, we know this brand. We buy from here.
That's so if you're not a fashion person, I find this interesting too. A lot of founders I've met, they've picked a problem that they might not be familiar with, an industry they might not be familiar with, but they realize they have the technological skill, the technology to fix a problem. What led you to the fashion world? I think you spoke a little bit about that, but was this like a well thought out thing where you're like, oh, I see a problem, I see something that's ripe for opportunity, and I'm gonna do it, or did you
You
kind
see
of
a
fall into
problem
it?
and you see what is out there. And then you ask yourself, like, is that a place where I can add value? I can bring in a solution that's better than what is out there, and that would lead you there. And that also helps you do product planning well, right? For example, in this space, I work very closely with Shopify because if I ask myself, would I build something better than Shopify
Hmm.
or an e-commerce platform? Absolutely no.
Yeah.
But then I have 100% believe that our ERP is better than other SMB ERPs out there. Is our ERP better than NetSuite? No. But the NetSuite is like catering to 100 million plus revenue
Yeah.
brand.
Hmm.
Whereas we are catering to like 30 to 100 million revenue brands. So for this segment, when I look around, there is no better solution. And for the specific niche problem. So that's what led
Mm.
to this. So there are
Okay.
multiple questions, right? It's like, can I build a better ERP if you make a big blanket statement? I probably would say, I don't know. There are a lot
Okay.
of things which one does well. Can I build a better Shopify? Absolutely no. So why do I pick it? Because there is also an intersection of people and
Hmm.
customers who is not served very well. And that's why we can bring in the innovation.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one. That you found like a market and this, and also it's pretty smart because there's such an explosion. I feel like of smaller brands now too. People like to buy from smaller brands, and these in small, you said like around 30 million, which is still
Yes.
pretty massive. But yeah, I feel like there's especially the younger generation. I feel like they're stopping to shop at major stores and going towards like more niche brands. And you seem like you might be in a really good position to take advantage of this shift that's going on in general. Um,
Yes.
Before we take off, I got to ask you this because I know people are thinking this. Everybody asks all this all the time. Of course, you got to talk about AI. And I'm sure people are thinking, wait, you're hiring engineers. Why don't you just use AI for everything?
I use a lot of AI, and AI is obviously making my own thought process and even the product, how I think about this product, very different.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have built Flair to like 5-6 years back, because you need to build a lot to be an ERP, and AI definitely enable you to build faster. And I truly believe AI is that augment every workflow we do, even for our customers. For example, from manufacturing, you get like this huge list of, I am producing XL blue t-shirt 10. I am producing XL red t-shirt 10. Yeah. And if you just multiply it by color, size, each item is going to be like hundreds of items. Hire like an Upwork person who manually goes through the PDF, enters it in Excel sheet. Just use VP, and AI makes it like instant. And they just verify that, okay, is the result from AI matches the PDF, and done. So I do believe there are so many places that AI is going to make you more efficient. And even to use AI efficiently in the code, I have seen that only people who understands basic system design are able to use AI more efficiently. So I don't know if it take over the job, but I truly believe that to make yourself more efficient, you need to understand how to use it efficiently and effectively.
I like that take. That's a nice take. I hear too many people with the take of either, yeah, it's going to take over everything, or no, it's not. It's useless. And I'm like, it's a great tool. It's a really, really useful tool and it unlocks some significant efficiency that I've found personally. And it's interesting because I think we're all learning in real time, like how to use it correctly. But the use case you just gave is one of the perfect ones, like summarizing large amounts of data and verifying things. Like, yeah, these really tedious tasks, like, hey, summarize every whatever. I sometimes I'll have like a spreadsheet full of information. I'm like, just summarize this for me, just so I can have an idea of where I can begin looking. But with code, it could be dangerous because you're right. If you don't have some basic system design or kind of coding principles that you can just generate lots of kind of working code that eventually just falls apart. And once you try to add more stuff to it.
Some of the biggest use case I have done is like, I am coming from MongoDB, very technical background, and I'm selling to a totally non-technical people. I usually feed AA and be like, hey, is this too technical? If it's too technical, how do I make these explanations in a non-technical way? So before going for a sales call, I practice with AA, and AA gives a feedback on these are the terms you can use to make it non-technical.
Yeah.
Fashion is a new industry. I don't understand the nuances of what a landed cost means. I ask AA, give me references and links to where I can learn. It does a job. And it makes my life easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love it for that kind of thing. It helps me write my emails. If I'm trying to write something technical and like put it in a public channel with non-technical people, I use it for the same thing. I'm like, hey, does this make sense? How can I explain this with an analogy? Can you give me an analogy that describes this relationship I'm trying to talk about? Yeah, that's a super good one. That's one that, again, people don't talk about enough. It's always like, how can it write more code? I'm like, yeah, we get it. It can write code. There's plenty of other things it can do too. Where can people find you online? Are you online? Are you like talking online or what?
Active in LinkedIn. Usually I love when people reach out to LinkedIn, I usually reply back.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool. And if they want to learn more about Flaire, they can go to your website, I assume, right? FLAIRE, Flaire, and you're located in New York. Excuse me?
FlaireSoftware.com.
FlaireSoftware.com.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate you taking the time and had a great conversation with you.
Thanks for having me.
That'll do it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. If you're serious about switching careers and becoming a software developer and building complex software and want to work directly with me and my team, go to Parsity.io. And if you want more information, feel free to schedule a chat by just clicking the link in the show notes. See you next week.